All the default protections were turned off. Somebody already tried to kill him in the cell. He had told people that. That's come out in the news. So they moved him in with somebody else. Then a few days before, they move him into a cell by himself. They take him off suicide watch. Then, even though there's a camera over the cell, that malfunctioned. Then they tell all the guards that normally every 30 minutes, go by your cell. Don't worry about it. Take off the day early. They go off an hour early. Someone who'd never been a worker at that jail was allowed in to the facility, and then reportedly that people heard screaming and yelling and basically begging for his life as people go into his cell. Then they start shouting, breathe, breathe, breathe. The door opens, 2 guards go in, and then immediately we hear him screaming and yelling, breathe, 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 it's okay, breathe, which a lot of folks are saying is the cover for when you've got somebody in a chokehold, basically asphyxiating them.
I see potential subscribers.
That was Alex Jones talking to Steven Crowder regarding the whole Jeffrey Epstein situation. If you want to see the full video, you can find it on The Sour Warhead on YouTube. It's 40 minutes long, worth a check out. And Steven Crowder, he's the guy that got completely demonetized on YouTube over that whole Vox situation. Alex Jones, as many of you know, he's the guy that got deplatformed. And there's a couple of interesting things to talk about. There was an update, I think it was yesterday, regarding the whole hyoid bone in the neck that said several bones were broken in the neck. Now, there's differing reports and differing thoughts amongst the forensic community. On USA Today, it states that the hyoid can break when a person dies by hanging, particularly when a person is older, which I've read multiple reports on that, but it also breaks when a person is strangled. In some reports, it states that it's a higher chance that a person is strangled when the hyoid bone is broken. According to CNBC, it states here, Torres noted, which is a medical expert, Dr. John Torres, said that it can happen in both strangulation and hanging, but occurs more often in strangulations. It's also noted here by Torres that studies found that a broken hyoid occurs in about 1 out of every 3 strangulations and in 25% of hangings. By the way, did you know that Eric Garner, when he was strangled to death, his hyoid was also broken? So they say that the cause of death is still pending for, I guess, the full results. It's just really weird. A lot of this doesn't make sense. There's too many different weird coincidences that happen around the situation. How can you take somebody off of suicide watch, somebody that's high risk, that's supposed to be watched every 30 minutes? There's even allegations of the logs being falsified, and it's just too crazy. If you've seen the other video, which I suggest you check out, because I was talking about Sandra Bland and comparing her suicide to Jeffrey Epstein's, I wasn't comparing Jeffrey's crime to Sandra Bland, but I was obviously comparing how they both died in a jail cell. They're saying Jeffrey hung himself from the top bunk, which is the same thing that they said with Sandra Bland, and that they leaned forward and hung themselves like that. And I've had people reach out to me and comment on some of my videos, and they told me that it actually is possible for somebody to tie something around the top bunk and kind of lean forward or I don't know, throw themselves off or something to suffocate themselves. Comment down below, do you think is that possible, to lean forward and suffocate yourself? I've had multiple people say it is possible. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, if you saw my Facebook, follow me on Facebook if you don't, iCkEdMeL, but there's a picture of Bill Clinton in a blue dress and red heels that an artist painted, and they found it in Jeffrey Epstein's mansion or whatever. And apparently it's true. Apparently this is the actual painting, because the NY Post, I believe it was the NY Post, they reached out to the actual artist and they got in contact with him, and I believe he didn't know that Jeffrey Epstein is the one who bought it. But it's just a weird photo. I don't know if it was just for kicks and giggles that he had it in his place. It's kind of creepy. Now, there's one final thing that I wanted to touch on, and that's the Jeffrey Epstein Black Book. And I just want to say briefly that you can go online and you can see the redacted version. Somebody actually emailed me the version without any redaction, so you can actually see all the phone numbers, addresses. I was looking at that. I got that email and I was like, I almost didn't even want to open the email because I feel like the feds are probably tracking me or something. There's so many names. I don't know. I forgot how many pages it was. I couldn't even get through it all, and couldn't even recognize the people's names either. These are people that you never even heard of. Who knows these people? I mean, I didn't get through all of it, but give me your thoughts below that. And there was one part of the interview too, Alex Jones, where he says that Epstein was like a pimp. Epstein was setting everything up for these rich people to meet up with these young girls, and they were doing these weird ritualistic things, and it's just...
He was a concierge. He was a pimp for very powerful big groups. setting up these facilities in New Mexico and the Caribbean and in his huge compound in New York, where people just didn't have sex with underage girls and things. They did all sorts of rituals and drugs and weird eugenics things.
Weird stuff. Anyway, take care of yourselves. I gotta go. Have a great day. Make sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button. I need that help. Appreciate you, and turn on the bell with notifications. Peace.